You're now tuned in to the Real Money Coach broadcast with host Tony Jackson, author of the book Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money. Get ready for winning tips and strategies to effectively manage your finances and learn the key principles of protecting and dominating your money. Now, here's author and host Tony Jackson.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Real Money Coach show here on Praise 100.9, Charlotte's inspiration station, and every place that you receive your podcast. I am your host, Tony Jackson, and I'm super excited because this is our second show of the year, and there's so much to unpack that's coming up that you guys need to know about, and that we're going to be slowly unpacking this spending bill that I talked about last week. We're going to unpack that even more. Perhaps in the third segment of the show, we'll talk a little bit about the retirement part of it. There's a lot of things that even happen on the local level. And one of the things I wanted to just mention here real quickly is about the state minimum wage rates. That in about 23 states, the minimum wage rate is going up. 23 states, the minimum wage rate is going up. Those states include Alaska, Arizona, for example, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, Washington. And so those are the states. And unfortunately, there's a couple states that was left off the list. You may recognize that I didn't say North Carolina and I didn't say South Carolina. Now, here's the thing is many of these states and many other states have a state minimum wage law. However, North Carolina and South Carolina do not have a state minimum wage law. So they only go by the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25 per hour. Now, how is that a working wage for people? How can you – now, this is just my opinion, right? The opinions that I share is not part of the radio station, you know that whole disclaimer, right? How can you make a living wage? How can you house your family? How can you provide transportation? How can you feed your family off of $7.25 an hour? How is that possible? And what we need to do is you need to contact your local representative. You need to contact your state senator. You need to contact your state representatives or on the federal level from your state, and say, hey, we need, or even your state legislation, right? We need a minimum wage law in North Carolina. We need a minimum wage law in South Carolina. We need it in Oklahoma. We need it in Nebraska. We need it in New Hampshire. We need it in these states that are only going by the federal law. And then at the same time, we need to be talking to the feds, talking to our federal legislators and saying, hey, listen, $7.25 is not going to get it. And even some of these others that have raised, they're still not like way out. I mean, I think the largest one I saw is $15.50 in California. And, every other state is under that. Some are 13, 15, that type of thing. Washington State is $15.74. They're the highest in the country. And so we need to talk about this because I'm concerned about us in this widening gap between the haves and have-nots. Not even talking about the racial wealth gap. I'm just talking about everyday people, regardless of color, regardless of gender, and all this, that are just, trying to make it, trying to survive. And so, when I saw this, and actually I got kind of hints of it from Civil Wilkes' letter about there's 23 states that it raised the minimum wage. And I said, well, let me do a little research in this. And so I started doing a little research, and this is the information I just shared with you is what I found. And so yeah, that's what was on my mind to open up the show. The other thing I want to do is I want to remind you of this. I want to remind you that this podcast, this broadcast that you're listening to right now, is available on all of the podcasting networks, including Apple, including Google, including Pandora, including iHeart, and even YouTube. So actually, after the show airs, I will drop it on those platforms, including YouTube. I suggest you go to YouTube, you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll know when we go live for our YouTube show, and you'll know when I drop new podcasts there as well. So subscribe to that. And actually, we really want to get our subscribers up to over 1,000. So we're just depending on you, the Real Money Coach family, to help us do that. Now, listen, when I come back from a quick break, I'm going to have Martin Perdomo. He is known as the Elite Strategist, and he's going to be our guest, and we're going to talk about real estate. And he's going to share with you a little bit how he grew up very poor in the Dominican Republic. And, you know, so often we think of those resort places and towns, all beautiful and all that. But he's going to tell you it wasn't so for him. So you're listening to the Real Money Coach Show here on Praise 100.9, Charlotte's inspiration station, in every place that you get podcasts. We'll be right back.
Living in a world, confusion, trouble, trials and tribulations on every hand. Calling on Jesus, my problem solver. If you don't know him, he's a wonderful God. Because you didn't have to do it. Thank you, Jesus. But you did it. Didn't have to do it. You've been so good to me. Didn't have to do it. But you did it. But you did it. Yeah. You didn't have to do it. Been so good. You've been so good to me. Me. Travel all over the world, sing your praises. Wanna thank you for blessing me. Almost gave up, sing your praises. Wanna thank you for blessing me. You kept on blessing me over and again, because you didn't have to do it. Thank you, Jesus, but you did it. You didn't have to do it. You've been so good to me. You didn't have to do it, but you did it. But you did it. Yeah, you didn't have to do it. Been so good. You've been so good to me. You didn't have to do it. 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 But I'm glad you did. You didn't have to do it. Kept me a long time. You didn't have to do it. Never left me alone. You didn't have to do it. 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 Kept my little children. You didn't have to do it. Kept my little family. You didn't have to do it. You didn't have to do it. You didn't have to do it. But I'm glad you did. You didn't have to do it. Somebody out there. You didn't have to do it. Somebody out there. You didn't have to do it. Maybe wondering. You didn't have to do it. What I'm talking about. You didn't have to do it.
Hey, Grace family, join author Tony Jackson for the Real Money Coach broadcast each and every Saturday morning from 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9. Mr. Jackson enlightens you on the real secrets of money. He'll also help you increase, protect, and dominate your money. You can also catch Tony Jackson's The Real Money Coach every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube. Check out The Real Money Coach, Mr. Tony Jackson, every Saturday morning, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9.
Hey, Tony Jackson here. You know me as The Real Money Coach. Listen, I want to encourage you to do something. And what I want to encourage you to do is email me your questions, your comments, or even suggestions of topics that you'd like us to cover on the Real Money Coach Show, you can email it to info@therealmoneycoach.com. Again, that's info@therealmoneycoach.com. Email us your questions, your comments, your suggestions, and we will answer those on air and also on our Facebook Live YouTube show on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you email us so that we can get that information that you want to know in your ears. I am Tony Jackson, the Real Money Coach.
And welcome back to the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host, Tony Jackson.
Welcome back to the Real Money Coach Show here on Praise 100.9, Charlotte's inspiration station, and every place that you get your podcast. As I told you earlier in the show, I'm excited about our guest. I have Martin Perdomo on the line with us. Let me tell you a little bit about Martin real quick, though. Real quick. Martin is known as the elite strategist. I mean, that right there captivated me. When I just saw the elite strategist, that was enough. Latinos in Real Estate podcast. He's been in this game for a little while. So I have him on the line. Martin, how are you doing this morning, my brother?
I am outstanding, brother. Thank you for having me. And it's my pleasure and honor to be able to share with your audience here, brother. Thank you.
Well, good, man. I'm glad to have you. And, we didn't talk a whole lot about this, but, one of the things we talk about is just the 4 pillars of intergenerational wealth, right? And one of the big pieces of that, there's 4 pieces, but one of the big pieces is real estate. And I know that you are a real estate guru, and I love being able to share information to our audience about real estate and real estate investing and that type of thing. But before we get into a little bit of that, could you just kind of tell our audience who you are and just kind of how you got to this place where you're at right now?
Yeah. No sweat, brother. So again, thank you. I started investing in real estate in 2007, but the story starts way before that. First of all, I think I need to give context. I want to give context to your listeners. And the first thing is when my mother is a first-born generation immigrant. I'm first American born in the country, in my family. A first American born in my family. My mother came pregnant here with me from the Dominican Republic. We were so poor, and I want to set the stage. When my mother came here with me to the United States, in New York City, she sent me back to the Dominican Republic because she had no place to live. She had no base. She had no place to live, basically. So she wasn't going to carry a baby with her. So I was born in the U.S. by the grace of God. She sent me back home to the Dominican Republic. And when I talk about poster child poor, my brother, I'm talking about really poor. When you see the TV commercials about these kids walking around without shoes in third world country and without a shirt and their underwears, that was literally me. We had no running water. I had to walk a block every day just to go get water for us to flush the toilet in the day. We had no running water in our house. We were really, really poor. Then I came to the U.S. and at 16, my mother kicked me out of the house on my 16th birthday because I was living in New York City, wanting to be a bad boy and do all the things. I wasn't really bad. I just was a young man with a single mother. And, from being a man, you being one, you know what happens when you're in that age. You want to do what you want to do. You got a girlfriend and you think you're a man. And,
you got a little hair on your chest. You got a little hair on your chest. Right.
Yeah, you got all the testosterone, right? And you think you're so my mom she couldn't handle it. And I understand it now that I'm a grown man. And she said, you got to leave this on my 16th birthday. And that's when I fell in love with real estate. I was sleeping in trains. I was sleeping in rooftops in New York City, in the parks. Friends' couches. And I realized quickly that I made an unconscious decision that I need to own a lot of real estate because I was never going to go through that pain ever again in my life. So my love for real estate grew then. And I started buying real estate. And then I went into the insurance industry, similar to what you do now, in 1998 at the age of 20. And I started selling life insurance. In 2004, I went independent and I started a mortgage company. And in 2004-05, I started my mortgage company. So that was the heyday, right before the crash.
Sure.
And in 2007, I had people lining out the door for money, right? We were just giving out money, like literally with no income, no assets, ninja loans. And we were 500 credit score. We were giving people money, 100% finance, 80-20 loans. And I woke up one day and saying, man, there is not going to be anything left for me. Fear of missing out. Like a lot of what happened to a lot of people last year.
Right.
There's not going to be anything left for me. I got to go out and buy something. So I went and bought my first duplex in 2007, but I knew nothing about investing. I knew nothing about the business. 2009, I was 100. I bought that property for $275,000. 2 years later, Tony, that property was worth $179,000. I was stressed, right? I was stressed. Yeah. It was a nightmare. And that property burned down in 2014. I had college kids in there. And it was my energetically, I think I attracted that, and God just burned down insurance. I was able to get out, sold it. And I'm going to share this with you. About 2 months ago, I bought a property in September. And in October 31st, I closed on a four-unit property across 2 blocks away from my office here. And the appraiser comes to my office, Tony, and he's sitting across the table. I'm writing him the check so he can go appraise it before I close on the property. And I say, hey, Jeff, what are you bringing that property in at? And he says to me, I don't know yet. I have to go do the pictures, right? He's going to go do his thing. But he hands me this manila envelope and he says, here's the comps. Comps are comparable homes, right? Because it's a 4-unit. Here's the comps that I have. And so I look at the first comp, and it's a comp that's 2 houses away from that property. I was $100,000 underwater in 2007. Remember that property I just told you about?
Yeah.
And exact same property, exact same thing. $385,000. It just sold in the month of September. And
2 houses away.
2 houses away. So purchased it in 2007 for $275,000. 2009, it was worth $179,000, $100,000 underwater, basically. And 14 years later, right, from 2007 to 22, the property was worth $385,000. What was the lesson there? We're heading into some turbulent times in our economy and real estate. Real estate is on the downside. Real estate is very forgiving over time. The lesson was a lesson from God. I'm a very spiritual person, believe in God, was don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
Listen, that's a great message right there. Don't wait to buy real estate and wait. You know, Martin, there's so much that you just said that we're going to unpack because, you know, I was thinking about even when you went back to talking about your time growing up in DR, because most of us think of DR as the all-inclusive resorts and all that, not understanding that there's a very real side to it that you don't get at the resorts, right? So everybody's not living like that. And you know, in your story that you just shared, I think our listeners will be very, very excited to get more of that on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Facebook and YouTube. You just dropped a dime this morning, brother, and I can't wait for us to continue to unpack this. I don't know how we're going to do it all in an hour, but we're going to unpack this, man. And the lesson you just gave us, I think, is a great lead in. So if you're listening to this, whether you're listening to it live as we broadcast on the radio or you're listening to the podcast, make sure that you tune in Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Martin, I'm looking forward to you, man. Thank you for taking a few minutes out just to share just a tidbit. I think we gave them a little teaser this morning about what they're going to get on Tuesday, my brother.
Thank you, brother. I'm excited for Tuesday. We're looking
forward to it, man. Take care.
Thank you.
We belong to you, Lord. We belong to you, So your song flow through my lips, your work move through my hands, your thoughts stay on my mind, live in me. Your song flow through my lips, your work move through my hands, your thoughts stay on my mind, live in me, and you can have all of me, have all of me, have all of me, 'cause I'm yours, and I give you all of me, give you all of me, God, here's all of me, I'm yours, God, I'm yours.
family, join author Tony Jackson for the Real Money Coach broadcast each and every Saturday morning from 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9. Mr. Jackson enlightens you on the real secrets of money. He'll also help you increase, protect, and dominate your money. You can also catch Tony Jackson's The Real Money Coach every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube. Check out The Real Money Coach, Mr. Tony Jackson, every Saturday morning, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9.
Hey, Tony Jackson here. You know me as The Real Money Coach. Listen, I want to encourage you to do something. And what I want to encourage you to do is email me your questions, your comments, or even suggestions of topics that you would like us to cover on the Real Money Coach Show. You can email it to info@therealmoneycoach.com. Again, that's info@therealmoneycoach.com. Email us your questions, your comments, your suggestions, and we will answer those on air and also on our Facebook Live YouTube show on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you email us so that we can get that information that you want to know in your ears. I am Tony Jackson, the Real Money Coach.
And welcome back to the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host, Tony Jackson.
All right, welcome back to our show, the Real Money Coach Show here on Praise 100.9 and everywhere you get your podcast. Martin, if you guys listen to that, it's so inspiring was he talks about how he grew up, how poor he was, how he lived in abandoned buildings from the time he was 16 years old, even here in the United States. And so I think you're really going to enjoy the interview, the full interview, when it airs on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook and YouTube. And so, I'm just thankful, y'all. I'm thankful for what God has done in my life and what he's doing in your life. And we just have a lot to be thankful for. And it's not to minimize anybody's struggle, because God knows I've had my struggles. I'm sure that you've had your struggles. But through it all, through the fire and the storm, we're still standing. And as long as you're still up, right? As long as you're still breathing, we got a chance. And I'll take my chances every day with the Lord, and so just inspired by it. What I wanted to do, especially over these next few weeks here in the month of January, is I want to unpack the spending bill. Last week, I ran down a whole list of things that are included in it. Today, I want to emphasize really the retirement part. The Secure 2.0 is the part of that bill they are actually calling it. And we know a couple things that are happening. Number one is that they are allowing more money to go into retirement plans, in particular IRAs, traditional IRAs, which, you put money in there, you can defer the taxes, but then you pay taxes on all of it when it comes out. Or one that I prefer, which is the Roth IRA, that allows you to put money in there, and then you're able to take that money out, and you can take it out and not pay any taxes as long as you have owned it for at least 5 years and you're 59 and a half, right? So you own the account for 5 years, you're at least 59 and a half years old, then you can take that money out income tax free. There's a couple other provisions that are in there that allow you to take money out. That includes disability, that includes death, it includes first-time home buyer, higher education. So there's a few things that will allow you to take it out and not pay any penalties or taxes. But the one that most people use it for is retirement, and that's the 59 and a half in 5 years. So what we do know is that starting in 2023, that they've moved that up by $500. It used to be that you could put $6,000 in. Now that has increased to $6,500. And if you're over the age of 50, they have what is called a catch-up provision that will allow you to put in an extra $1,000. And so if you're trying to place a little catch-up, it's a great plan. You can have the Roth in addition to having a plan at work. So if you have a 401k at work, you can also put into a Roth. And I'm a big proponent of that. Matter of fact, as you guys have heard me talking about our challenge that we're starting in 2023. Right now, the plan is to kick it off on 2/23/23, and that is our Saving Money Challenge. The Saving Money Challenge, where we're challenging and helping and cultivating and giving you the resources and tools where we're going to help 1,000 people save at least $100 a month. So at least 1,000 people, at least $100 a month. And right now, even before we're kicking it off, I mean, we have about, I would say, and I don't know the exact number today, but we have about 15 people who have already jumped in, and their projected annual savings right now is over $25,000. And so we're off to a good start. You can be a part of that. Right now, the best way to do that is just to put yourself on my calendar and we have a conversation about it, and that's iPadappointment.com. But my point is that we are recommending the Roth as a tool because, number one, because it will promote longevity. So this is not money that you're going to put in there in 6 months, go back and get it. So it's promoting longevity, at least 5 years. The other thing is that the fact that everything that it earns, that you'll be able to get that out income tax free later. So that's why we're recommending that. Now, a couple other things that's in this particular bill, the Secure Act that was part of the spending plan, is, again, just more encouragement for people to start saving for their retirement. There's also this thing called a saver's credit, which will provide 50% tax credit on savings. So, for example, it's up to $2,000. So if you save $2,000, you can get $1,000 credit on your income tax return. Now, there's some income limits that are there, but that's what the savings credits is. So that's part of this new legislation, is that you save $2,000, you get $1,000 credit on your taxes. Now, the income thresholds, like I said, are pretty low, but you do want to take advantage of that if you're able to. The other things in this package in terms of retirement is it's also, increasing some administrative and money going into the Social Security system, about $1.4 billion going into the Social Security system. The other thing is it's allowing more money to go into 401ks and those type of things. And again, I'm one that believes 401ks should be something you take advantage of up to the match. But anything above the match, I think you'd be better off to do things like the Roth and some of the other things that we talk about. But those are all part of the things that's in this new bill. And because there's just alarming statistics on how, people aren't saving enough. And that's everyone from the baby boomers to the Gen X to millennials to Gen Zers are just simply not saving enough for retirement. And this is a way to encourage people to do it. And we're all about it. And that's why, again, we're doing the Savings Challenge. Hey, listen, that's my time. I do appreciate you guys listening to this live broadcast. If you're listening here on Saturday morning, if you're listening to it as a podcast, I appreciate you just as much. And make sure you join us Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday for the Real Money Coach Live. I'm out. Y'all have a great weekend.
We hope you've enjoyed the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host Tony Jackson. We encourage you to utilize today's strategies and principles to manage your money in the most effective and winning way. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to send us an email, TonyJacksonAgency@gmail.com, or you can reach us on all social media platforms. And if you would like a copy of Tony Jackson's book, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money, log on to www.therealmoneycoach.com. Until next week's empowering broadcast, God bless.